But welcome to live stream here. I'm here with Paul Logan.
What's his name?
Paul Logan. And I'll show you a picture of Paul. There he is. Known Paul for many, many years. I'm getting used to this streaming thing and wanted to go ahead and do an interview with Paul. Let's go to him right now and say hi to him. Hey, Paul, there you are.
Yo, how are ya? Good thing I shaved today.
Yeah. So anyway, the reason for my interview today was I wanted to. Oh yeah, we'll switch back to me. Yeah, again, I'm learning this.
It's
whole
all
thing.
you, Otis.
I know it's something else learning this, but I wanted to get together with Paul and do a little interview with him. We're getting ready for some things coming up that we'll talk about in a little bit. But Paul and I have known each other for many, many years. And how many years have we known each other, Paul?
Decades, about 30.
30 years. And so with that said, I figured before I ask him how we even met, because I don't even remember at this point, I was thinking that it might be really cool to get a little background on some of the things that he's done as far as music goes. Paul, there's a picture of you playing French horn, it looks like. How old were you then?
That was 1972 or 1973. I was 12 or 13. My dad gave me that French horn. That's on the front porch of my house in Berkeley, where I grew up with my family. And I basically grew up in the orchestra with that instrument. And it was a great experience. And I had a wonderful music teacher that I had for 8 years who taught me basically everything I know about how to approach music.
Well, that's cool, Paul. So so I of course I knew you were from Berkeley, but you came to Santa Cruz.
I did.
Gosh, when was that you came to Santa Cruz?
I came to Santa Cruz to go to Cabrillo College with a bunch of friends from Berkeley back in the very early 80s. I turned 21 in this town in 1981. I had my first legal drink served to me by Carol at Tampico's downtown, and she was still there when the place closed down. And me and some friends of mine came down, saw the campus, really liked it, saw the environment, and this is when kids could come down, get regular jobs, find apartments they could afford, and go to college and get on with their lives. Wish it was that way now, but very, very good memories. Some of the best memories I've ever had coming down here to go to school in the early 80s.
Well, Paul, I'm actually getting a question here from Armand Boyd, who's a saxophone player in town.
Armand, very fine musician. Hi, Armand.
He was wondering who your teacher was at Berkeley for the French horn.
My teacher was not, well, my teacher was in Berkeley, but I did not go to Berkeley School of Music, if that's what you're thinking about, Armand. I was raised in Berkeley, and I had a French horn teacher in the area. His name was Saxon. His last name was Saxon. He was the first chair horn player in what was then existing as the Oakland Symphony, which doesn't exist anymore. But he taught me the best things I ever knew about how to be a musician, how to proceed.
All right, so I'm going to go here to the next picture. And of course, we know that you came to Santa Cruz, but
Yeah.
you also spent some time in Austin, I think.
I did.
And so this next picture here, there you are, a younger Paul. So what was that band all about?
That's about 1984. That's Crystal Image. It was a notorious Texas rock and roll band. Notorious for reasons I can't really speak about publicly. Everything you can imagine happened. They told me stories that were pretty hellacious. But we traveled all over Texas. I went to Texas at the behest of my brother, who said that it was a pretty good scene down there, and it was. And I got picked up, and you can see me there playing my Rickenbacker, which was customized. I actually played that Rickenbacker at Cabrillo College in the big band for a minute, and that wrapped itself up. And I came back to Santa Cruz, went back to Berkeley, and eventually came back to Santa Cruz.
All right. So, Paul, then it was you and I finally met, and of course, most of our biggest experience was with in a band called Coincidence.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about. Well, how did we meet? I don't even remember. I'm suffering from old age.
It's a pretty good question. I was going to Cabrillo, studying music with Ray Brown and some friends from Berkeley. We were having a great time, and everybody was doing really well. It was a really fine time in our lives. And I was jamming with Dave Prosciutti, and he knew you, Otis, and he knew what you wanted to do. And eventually, Dave got me next to you at your place up on Old San Jose Road.
Oh, that's.
And we started to develop the Coincidence, and that's when you had like an ARP Odyssey and everything, and you were going nuts.
Yeah.
It was a mighty fine time. We did have our conflicts, but we were very productive.
Yeah. I remember Dave and we actually jammed in high school together, and what an ear that guy has. So,
Yeah, he's great.
so let's take a look at a couple of these pictures from.
Oh boy,
Oh yeah, there we are on Duck Island.
the duck pond.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my favorite part of that picture is the top of the Budweiser bottle on the right bottom corner.
Oh well,
yeah,
geez, you're focusing on.
Yeah. Because
Well, I like the one on my right with my hair. Look at the hair on the right. That's
Yeah,
nice.
there we are. Yeah, and I tried to find Steve some time ago, but wasn't able to find him.
You're right. No, and no, we killed it that day.
So, and then Coincidence, we did that for a few
Oh, there's your
years.
ARP Odyssey as well. You can see it
Yeah, let me
over
go
there
back
on
to
the
that.
right.
Oh, there it is. Yes, wish I still had that thing now. That would be good because it'd be worth a lot of money. So, Paul, then, so after our little adventure, then you've obviously played in a lot of bands, but of recent in the last 10 years, yeah, I know that you played in a band called Wild Blue.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
Well, I put Wild Blue together about a dozen years ago after working with Scott Slaughter, who used to work with the Greg Franks band and became the music director for Al Jardine. And we both went on to work with Al Jardine and the Beach Boys. But Scott's a very talented artist, a brilliant producer, and I've been working with him for a long time. And we started with John Tyndall. And he's since left town. John Tyndall was in RST, and we concentrated on doing a lot of three-piece harmony groups. James Taylor, Paul Simon, Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, stuff like that. And it was very nice. John had to leave. He had to move out of town. We got a new guy named Josh Meschke, who's extremely talented, and we're looking forward to bringing that forward. We're going to hopefully do that within the next few months.
And I see you there with our mutual drummer friend and Stephen Kolanovich.
Yes, that's in this picture, which was down at Asilomar. That's Stevie Hager, who got me and Scott involved with the Al Jardine project. And that's, of course, Stephen Krolanovich over there on the left, who needs no introduction. It's been in the White Album Ensemble and many great things. He's a fantastic musician. Yeah.
All right. Well, and we're just running through things here. We're having some fun. And then, of course, we come to the other band that you've been playing with as of recent, and that would be the Western Skylarks. You want to tell us a little bit about what that band's all about?
Yeah, it's a great scene. It's really organic in its growth. Billy Edgell, the guy on the right there, a great guitar player who a lot of people in this town know from the Mothership and other things he's done. The Nora Cruz band as well, which I was in. We've been walking around town for years, and we'd run into each other, and he'd say, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I say, "Well, I can't do this, I can't do that." And then one day he walked up to me and said, "Hey, do you want to be in a country band with no drummer? I got a good singer." And I said, "Are you in the band?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I'm in." And so he introduced me to Mike Larkins, who's over there with the circular thing on his chest there. He's one of the great unsung talents of this county. He's a fantastic singer. And Eric Gunn, of course, almost everybody knows who he is. all over there on the left. And this picture was taken up at Rose Studios. That's Deanie Rose is the engineer up there. Highly recommend it for work. And we did about 10 songs up there. And the band sounds great, and it's great to play traditional country with a guy like Mike Larkins, who hopefully I'll be able to bring it forward soon. That's us at the Whale City Bakery, where it was a great gig. But Mike knows what he's doing. It's the first band he's ever been in, and he does an impressive job. My hat's off to Mike Larkins.
Yeah. Okay, and all right, so moving right along, I do have a picture of you and your brother. I guess your family was pretty musical.
Yeah. That's my brother John. I call us the bookends. I'm the youngest and he's the oldest, and we're 14 years apart. And he taught me how to do finger picking on the guitar a long time ago, and that's the only reason I can really do finger picking now. He's a wonderful player. He's been a hardcore player for 50 years. He lives in St. Louis now. He's retired, but he's a guitar slinger, and he bought a house playing guitar. And so there you go. And he's still with us, and he's in great shape. And yeah, that's my brother.
Awesome. So let's step back a minute, because I remember you were telling me that Stevie Hagar, right, got you involved with the Al Jardine project.
Yeah, Stevie Hagar and us got to
Can
be.
you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that was a really big event in my life, and I kind of engineered it accidentally. I met Dave Byron, and Dave Byron from Extra Large was in a really good wedding band, a casuals band called oh gosh, I forgot the name, but
Extra Large?
No, it was Heroes or something Heroes, and we did really good in the Pebble Beach scene. And he introduced me to Stevie Hagar. And Stevie Hagar was working with Al Jardine. He was from the Beach Boys. Al Jardine was the guy who sang Help Me Rhonda and things like that. And Al Jardine has a studio down in Big Sur. And he invited me down, along with Scott Slaughter, to come down and be a part of this project, which Otis has up on the screen right there, a postcard from California. Stevie Hagar was the was the producer. Scott Slaughter was the music director. I was the bass player, and I got to work with Steve Miller and Brian Wilson, and down at Al Jardine's studio in Big Sur called the Red Barn, which is still there. It's a wonderful studio, and it was a really amazing experience. Neil Young was involved. David Crosby was involved. The Boys from America were involved. I'm just very proud to be a part of it and to have my name as bass player and vocalist, right next to Brian Wilson and things like that. And it's available. There goes my earbud. It's available on Amazon or whatever, and it's all over YouTube. So yeah, it sounds great. I'm happy to be a part of it, and feel very fortunate to have met those guys to get me involved.
All right. So, before we get around to wrapping things up and talking about the next subject, of course, there's somebody else we got to mention. We got to work on a project together with Kevin Conley, did some things with him, also using the lads from Europe and things. So you want to give us a little info on that?
Yeah. That's another really great, thing. Both of us, you and Otis, me and Otis, we're both fortunate to be a part of. I've known Kevin for almost over 20 years and been working with him through a lot of hard times. And he's a really prolific songwriter. He's a very spiritual songwriter. He cares deeply about what he does, and he gave me a great opportunity. I produced his album, Walk in Love, which is a 15-song album. It took about 3 years. It was a huge project. It came out wonderfully, and we have a great relationship, and we're starting to work on some new stuff with Kevin Conley, doing more acoustic stuff. I just finished working with him finishing up some things he did all on his own. I did post-production on his latest thing, which is Sons of Thunder, which is released. Everything's on CD Baby, I believe. And it all sounds really good. And what was the other thing? Kevin is still writing songs. I talked to him the other day, and I hope to be helping him with his new acoustic project coming up soon.
All right. Well, Paul, as we wrap things up here, I wanted to take a minute to thank everybody for watching. We are on the Hear the Call Facebook page right now. I will be taking this and also streaming this later onto my own personal page so other people could see it and enjoy it. Paul and I are working together on. I'm not only working on continuing to do streaming and interviews with local musicians in and around the Bay Area, preferably Santa Cruz, taking care of our own community, but also developing streaming services for special events and things like weddings, because, a lot of people can't get out. Let's say you're getting married and you want grandma and grandpa. Maybe they're too sick to fly out, even if the pandemic wasn't happening. We'd be able to stream it on your own personal Facebook wedding page if you put something together on that. And we are actually taking this system out and doing a stress test on the 5th of July at 3:30. We'll be out around by Sunset Beach, and we'll be streaming a 5-piece rock band with 3 different cameras. Using the new system here that actually embeds sound into Cat5, bypassing the computer altogether. So we're able to keep the quality of the sound at a nice high rate as it is now. So I want to invite everybody to that. I'll be posting about that later. And Paul, any final thoughts?
Yeah. Otis is getting ready to offer a really great service. I'm going to be helping him. And, we're all musicians here. We've been doing this a long time. We know everybody in town, and we want to help everybody just move this thing forward in this rather difficult time. But oddly, we're getting set up to do it quite comfortably being remote, but hopefully not too remote. So thanks for your time tonight.
All right. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And we'll see you next time.